My husband left me for a younger woman. Years later, she called me crying. The day my husband left me, it was raining. Not a storm, just enough rain to make the world feel cold. I remember standing in our kitchen holding a cup of tea. The tea had already gone cold, just like my marriage. My husband Daniel stood near the front door with 2 suitcases. 25 years of marriage, gone, just like that. I looked at him and asked the question I already knew the answer to. Is there someone else? He didn't even try to deny it. His silence told me everything. Then he finally spoke. Her name is Emma. Emma, 28 years old, young, beautiful, confident, everything I wasn't anymore. At least that's what I believed at the time. Daniel looked at me with guilty eyes. I didn't plan for this to happen. I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was insulting. Men always say that, as if betrayal simply falls from the sky, as if lies accidentally happen, as if broken hearts are just unfortunate mistakes. What about our family? I asked. What about our daughter? Daniel lowered his head. Then he said the words that destroyed me. I deserve to be happy too. Happy. As if the last 25 years meant nothing. As if the nights I stayed awake when he was sick meant nothing. As if the 2 jobs I worked while he built his company meant nothing. As if sacrificing my dreams meant nothing. Apparently, his happiness was waiting inside another woman, and he was willing to destroy everything to get it. The next morning, he moved out. A week later, he moved in with Emma. A month later, they posted vacation pictures online, smiling, laughing, living their perfect new life. While I sat alone in the same house, trying to figure out how to survive. The divorce was ugly. Daniel fought for everything. The house, the savings, even furniture we bought together. The man I once loved had become a stranger wearing my husband's face. The hardest part wasn't losing him. It was watching everyone choose sides. Friends disappeared. Relatives stopped calling. Some even blamed me. You should have paid more attention to your husband. You let yourself go. Men need excitement. Every word felt like another knife. But the deepest wound came from Emma herself. One afternoon, she sent me a message. A single message. 1 sentence. I didn't steal him. He chose me. I stared at that text for a long time. Then I deleted it. Not because it didn't hurt, because I knew responding would only give her power. Years passed. Slowly, I rebuilt my life. I found a small apartment, started my own bakery, made new friends, learned how to smile again. For the first time in years, my happiness didn't depend on anyone else. Meanwhile, Daniel and Emma seemed to have everything. Luxury vacations, new cars, expensive restaurants, perfect social media photos. Everyone thought they were living a fairy tale. Even I started believing it. But social media hides many secrets. And one evening, 7 years after my husband left me, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Something told me to answer. Hello? For a moment, there was only silence. Then I heard a woman crying. Real crying. The kind that comes from a broken soul. Then she whispered, "Please don't hang up." I froze, because I recognized the voice immediately. It was Emma, the woman who took my husband, and she sounded terrified. "Please," she sobbed. "I don't know who else to call." I gripped the phone tighter. My heart was pounding. After everything she had done, after all these years, why was she calling me? Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "It's Daniel." And suddenly, I knew this phone call was about to change everything. I sat frozen with the phone pressed against my ear. 7 years. 7 long years had passed since Emma had destroyed my marriage. And now, she was crying. "What's wrong with Daniel?" I asked coldly. Emma took a shaky breath. Then she whispered, "He's gone." For a moment, I couldn't speak. Gone? What did that mean? Dead? Missing? Arrested? My mind raced through dozens of possibilities. "Emma, what happened?" The sound of her crying became louder. "Daniel left me." The words hit me like a strange wave, not because I was sad, not because I was happy, but because life had just come full circle. The same man who left his wife for a younger woman had now abandoned the younger woman too. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, Emma whispered, "I know I don't deserve your sympathy." I stared out the window. Rain was falling again, just like the night Daniel left me. "It's true," I replied. "You don't." She started crying harder, but this time, I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt something else. Pity. Because I knew exactly how that pain felt. The silence stretched between us. Then Emma said something unexpected. "I was wrong about everything." I closed my eyes. For years, I had imagined this moment. The woman who destroyed my life admitting she was wrong. Yet somehow, it didn't feel as satisfying as I thought it would. "What happened?" I finally asked. Emma took a deep breath, and then the truth began to come out. Slowly, painfully, one secret at a time. After Daniel moved in with her, everything seemed perfect, at least in the beginning. Luxury vacations, expensive dinners, designer clothes, beautiful photos online. Everyone thought they were living a dream. But behind closed doors, the dream was already falling apart. Daniel had changed. The charming man Emma fell in love with disappeared. He became controlling, angry, suspicious. Nothing she did was ever enough. If dinner was late, he complained. If she spent money, he complained. If she talked to male coworkers, he accused her of cheating. I listened quietly, because every story she told sounded familiar. Very familiar. I had lived through the same thing, the same arguments, the same manipulation, the same emotional games. The difference was, when Daniel did those things to me, Emma called it love. Now she was calling it abuse. One evening, Emma discovered something shocking. Daniel wasn't only lying to her, he was lying to everyone, including his business partners. He had borrowed huge amounts of money, made risky investments, and secretly lost most of it. The luxury lifestyle they showed online was fake. The vacations were paid for with loans. The expensive cars were leased. The perfect life was drowning in debt. But Daniel kept pretending everything was fine, until the day everything collapsed. One morning, the bank froze several accounts. Investors demanded answers. Business partners walked away. Within months, millions of dollars disappeared. The man who once believed he could never fail was suddenly losing everything. And that's when his true face appeared. Emma said quietly. When the money disappeared, so did the man I thought I knew. I felt a chill run through my body, because I remembered something Daniel once told me years ago. Money changes people. No, money doesn't change people. It reveals them. Then Emma whispered something that made my heart stop. There is something else you need to know. What? A long silence followed. Then she said, The reason Daniel left me wasn't another woman. I frowned. Then why? Her voice cracked. Because he found out about our daughter. My heart skipped a beat. Our daughter? Emma began sobbing again. 3 years ago, I gave birth to a little girl. I felt completely stunned. Daniel had a daughter, a child I never knew existed, and somehow that child was connected to why he disappeared. Emma, I said carefully, what are you trying to tell me? Her answer changed everything. Daniel isn't running from me, she whispered. He's running from her. And what she told me next was something neither of us could have imagined. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Running from his own daughter, I asked. Emma's voice trembled. Yes. For several seconds, I simply sat there. The same man who abandoned me had now abandoned his own child. It sounded impossible, yet somehow I knew it was true. Because Daniel always ran away when life became difficult. He ran from our marriage, he ran from responsibility, and now he had run from fatherhood. What happened? I asked quietly. Emma took a deep breath. Then she told me everything. 3 years earlier, their daughter Lily had been born. She was beautiful, bright eyes, a contagious smile, and a laugh that could light up any room. Daniel adored her in the beginning. He bought her expensive toys, designer clothes, anything she wanted. To outsiders, he looked like the perfect father. But when Lily turned 4, something changed. She became tired very easily. She stopped playing for long periods. Sometimes she struggled to breathe. At first, doctors thought it was nothing serious, but after several tests, they received devastating news. Lily had a rare heart condition, a condition that would require expensive treatment, possibly surgery. Emma said she cried for days, but Daniel reacted differently. At first, he promised he would handle everything. He said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of my family." But by then, his business was already collapsing. The money was gone, the debts were growing, and the hospital bills kept arriving. Then one day, Emma overheard Daniel talking on the phone, a conversation he never knew she heard. He was speaking to someone angrily, and then he said words she would never forget. If Lily wasn't sick, none of this would be happening. Emma's heart shattered, not because he was stressed, but because he blamed his own daughter, a little girl fighting for her life. From that day forward, their relationship changed. The arguments became constant. The house became silent, cold, broken. Then one morning, Daniel disappeared. No goodbye, no explanation, no note, nothing. The only thing he left behind was a mountain of debt and a frightened little girl asking, "Where is Daddy?" Emma broke down crying again. I didn't know what to tell her. My eyes filled with tears, not for Daniel, for Lily, because children always pay the price for adults' mistakes. Then Emma said something unexpected. She asks about him every day. I looked down. And what do you tell her? Emma whispered. I tell her her daddy is away working. The silence between us became heavy. Then she said something that completely shocked me. There's another reason I called. I frowned. What reason? Emma hesitated. For a long time she said nothing. Then finally she spoke. A few weeks before Daniel disappeared, he told me a secret. A chill ran through my body. What secret? Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. He said there was something he had hidden from both of us. Something connected to you. My heart immediately started racing. Connected to me? Yes. I stood up from my chair. Every nerve in my body suddenly felt awake. After 7 years, what secret could Daniel possibly still be hiding? Then Emma said words that changed everything. He told me there was money. A lot of money. Money that legally belonged to you. The room began spinning because I suddenly remembered something I had forgotten years ago. A locked safety deposit box, one Daniel never wanted me to open. And suddenly, for the first time in years, I realized my ex-husband's disappearance might not be an accident at all. Someone was hiding, someone was lying, and the truth was much bigger than either of us imagined. That night, I couldn't sleep. Emma's words kept echoing in my mind. There was money, and it belonged to you. For 7 years, I had believed I knew everything about my marriage. Now I wasn't so sure. The next morning, I drove to the bank, the same bank where Daniel had rented a safety deposit box years ago. I remembered asking him about it once. He smiled and said, "Just business papers." At the time, I trusted him. Now, I wasn't sure what to believe. My hands trembled as the bank manager placed the metal box in front of me. The key still worked. Slowly, I opened it. Inside were several documents, old photographs, and one sealed envelope. My name was written on the front, in Daniel's handwriting. My heart started pounding. For a moment, I didn't want to open it, because some truths change your life forever. Finally, I unfolded the letter and began to read. To Sarah, if you're reading this, then everything has fallen apart. And that means I can no longer hide the truth. My hands froze. I continued reading. Years ago, before I met Emma, I made a terrible mistake. A cold feeling spread through my chest. What mistake? The letter continued. I stole money. I stopped breathing. Daniel, my husband, the man I spent 25 years with, had stolen money. Not a few $1,000s, not even a few $100,000. Millions. The letter explained everything. Years earlier, Daniel had been involved in a business partnership. When the company became successful, he secretly moved money into hidden accounts. No one noticed at first. The missing funds were buried beneath fake transactions and false paperwork. The theft remained hidden for years. The stolen money helped build our comfortable life. The house, the vacations, the business, everything. Suddenly, I felt sick. Had my entire life been built on a lie? Then I noticed another document inside the box, a bank statement. The account balance made my eyes widen. Nearly $4 million. My hands started shaking. Daniel had hidden millions, all these years. But the biggest shock was still coming, because attached to the account was my name. Not his, mine. I immediately called the bank manager. There must be a mistake. He reviewed the documents, then looked at me. No mistake, ma'am. This account legally belongs to you. For several moments, I couldn't even think. Why would Daniel hide millions of dollars in my name? And why keep it secret for so many years? Then I found another letter, a much shorter one, only 3 sentences. And those 3 sentences changed everything. If you're reading this, they have probably found me. Use the money for Lily. She deserves a future. And tell her, I'm sorry. I stared at those words again and again. They have probably found me. Found him? Who was looking for Daniel? Suddenly, this wasn't just about money anymore. Something dangerous was happening. Something Daniel had been terrified of. I left the bank and drove straight to Emma's apartment. When she opened the door, I showed her the letters. The color drained from her face. For nearly an hour, we sat together reading every document. Neither of us spoke. Then Emma whispered, "Sarah, what if Daniel isn't hiding? What if he's running for his life?" The room became silent. Neither of us wanted to say it, but we were both thinking the same thing. Someone could be hunting him. Someone connected to the stolen money. And then Emma's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. "Hello?" At first, there was silence. Then her face turned completely white. The phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. I grabbed her shoulders. "Emma, what happened?" She looked at me with tears in her eyes, completely terrified. Then she whispered, "It was Daniel." My heart nearly stopped. "What did he say?" Emma began shaking. "He only said 4 words." "What words?" She looked directly at me and said, "Don't trust the lawyer." Suddenly, everything we thought we knew was about to be turned upside down. The entire drive home, I couldn't stop thinking about those 4 words. Don't trust the lawyer. Why would Daniel say that? The lawyer was the one who had handled all his business contracts for nearly 15 years. He knew everything. The companies, the investments, the hidden accounts, everything. And suddenly, Daniel was warning us about him. That night, Emma and I sat at my dining table. The letters were spread across the surface. Every document, every bank statement, every note. We searched for clues. Then I noticed something strange. One transfer document had a signature that looked different. Very different. I compared it with Daniel's old signatures. The handwriting wasn't the same. Not even close. Emma looked at it carefully. "Oh my God." "What?" She pointed to the date. The transfer happened 6 months ago. At that time, Daniel was on a business trip overseas. He couldn't possibly have signed it. Someone had forged his signature. A chill ran through my body. This wasn't just fraud. This was a setup. Someone wanted Daniel to look guilty. The next morning, we visited the company's former accountant, an elderly man named Mr. Hassan. He had worked with Daniel for years. When he saw the documents, his face immediately changed. "You two need to be careful." Emma looked frightened. "Why?" Mr. Hassan closed the office door, then lowered his voice. "Because Daniel wasn't the only person with access to those accounts." I felt my stomach tighten. Who else had access? Mr. Hassan hesitated, then said the name. Victor. The lawyer. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Victor. The trusted lawyer. The man who knew every financial secret. The same man Daniel warned us about. Mr. Hassan continued. For years, Victor controlled paperwork nobody checked. He had access to signatures, bank accounts, contracts, everything. Emma whispered, "Are you saying Victor stole the money?" Mr. Hassan looked nervous. "I'm saying if someone could do it, it was him." Suddenly, everything started making sense. The fake signatures, the missing funds, the warning call. Daniel wasn't hiding from the police. He was hiding from someone much more dangerous. Victor. Then, another shocking discovery emerged. Mr. Hassan opened an old company file. Inside were emails. Hundreds of emails. One in particular caught my attention. It was sent 3 years earlier. The subject line read, "Urgent, internal investigation." My heart started racing. I opened it and froze. Because the email wasn't accusing Daniel, it was accusing Victor. The company suspected millions of dollars were disappearing. But before the investigation could finish, the lead investigator suddenly resigned. No explanation, no report, nothing. The case vanished, as if it never existed. Mr. Hassan shook his head. Back then, I thought it was strange. Now I understand. Emma looked terrified. Victor covered everything up. Mr. Hassan nodded slowly. And Daniel discovered it. The room fell silent. For years, everyone believed Daniel was the villain. But what if he was actually trying to expose the real thief? Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Again. My heart nearly stopped. I answered. "Hello?" Then a familiar voice. Weak, exhausted, scared. "Sarah." It was Daniel. Alive. For a moment, I couldn't speak. After everything, after 7 years, I was hearing his voice again. "Daniel, where are you?" His breathing became heavier. "I don't have much time." Fear rushed through me. What happened? Then I heard something terrifying. Sirens. In the background. Close. Very close. Daniel whispered, "They found me." My heart pounded. "Who found you?" There was silence. Then he spoke one name. Victor. And suddenly, the line went dead. Completely dead. Emma looked at me, her face pale with fear. What did he say? I slowly lowered the phone, then whispered the words that changed everything. Victor found him. And at that exact moment, someone knocked on my front door. 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Emma and I looked at each other. Neither of us moved, because somehow we both knew. The person standing outside wasn't there by accident. The knock came again. Slow, deliberate, almost as if the person outside knew we were afraid. Knock, knock, knock. Emma grabbed my arm. "Don't open it." I nodded. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. The house suddenly felt too quiet, too small, too dangerous. Then my phone buzzed. A text message, unknown number. I looked down, and my blood ran cold. The message said, "Open the door, Sarah. We need to talk." Emma saw it. Oh, God. I walked to the window and carefully moved the curtain. A black luxury car was parked outside, and standing beside it was Victor, the lawyer, the man Daniel warned us about. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't angry. He simply stood there, watching the house, waiting, almost as if he already knew everything. Emma whispered, "What do we do?" Before I could answer, my phone rang again. "Daniel." I answered immediately. "Daniel!" His voice was weak. "Listen carefully." "What happened?" "No time." I could hear him breathing heavily. Then he said, "Victor knows about the account." My stomach tightened. The $4 million, the hidden money. Victor knew. Daniel continued, "If he gets those documents, he wins." "Daniel, where are you?" A long silence followed. Then he whispered, "Old Harbour Warehouse." My eyes widened. The Old Harbour, a deserted industrial area near the river. Nobody went there anymore. Before I could ask another question, the call ended. Again. I looked at Emma. "We have to find him." Emma immediately nodded, because despite everything, Daniel was still Lily's father, and somewhere deep inside, he was the only person who knew the whole truth. We slipped out the back door, drove away quietly, and headed toward the harbour. Rain began falling again. The roads were nearly empty. Streetlights reflected on the wet pavement. The entire city felt eerie, like something bad was waiting ahead. 30 minutes later, we arrived. The harbour looked abandoned. Broken warehouses, rusting containers, dark shadows everywhere. Emma looked terrified. What if it's a trap? I didn't answer, because I was thinking the same thing. Then we saw movement. A figure emerged from behind an old shipping container, thin, exhausted, bearded, wearing dirty clothes. For a moment, I didn't recognize him. Then he stepped into the light. Daniel. Emma gasped. 7 years had changed him. The confident businessman was gone. The expensive suits, the perfect hair, the arrogant smile. Gone. This man looked broken, like someone who hadn't slept in months. Daniel looked at us, then at Emma. Then tears filled his eyes when he asked, "How is Lily?" Emma started crying immediately. "She misses you every day." Daniel lowered his head. The guilt on his face was unbearable. For several moments, nobody spoke. Then I handed him the letters. His hands shook as he read them. When he finished, he looked at me. "You know everything now." "No," I said firmly. "We know almost nothing." Daniel nodded. Then he finally told us the truth. Years ago, Victor wasn't just a lawyer. He was a partner. A secret partner. Together, they built several companies. But Daniel eventually discovered something shocking. Victor had been stealing money for years, using fake companies, fake signatures, fake accounts. Millions disappeared, and every trail pointed toward Daniel, not Victor. "It was perfect," Daniel said. "If I reported him, I would look guilty too." "So why didn't you go to the police?" Emma asked. Daniel laughed bitterly. "Because Victor owned half the people investigating." The answer sent chills through my body. Daniel continued. "When I realized what he was doing, I started collecting evidence. Every email, every transaction, every secret account." Emma looked confused. "Then why run away?" Daniel's face turned pale. "Because Victor found out." The rain became heavier, and then Daniel revealed something even worse. 3 years ago, a financial investigator who was helping him died in a suspicious car accident. Officially, it was an accident. Unofficially, Daniel knew better. From that moment, he understood how dangerous Victor really was. So he disappeared. Not to save himself, to protect everyone else, including Emma, including Lily, including me. Then Daniel reached inside his jacket and pulled out a small flash drive. "This is everything." I stared at it. "What is it?" "Proof. Enough evidence to The rain poured harder. Thunder echoed across the harbour. And Victor stood there, smiling. Like a man who already knew the ending of the story. His men surrounded us. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Daniel stepped forward, instinctively placing himself between us and Victor. Victor laughed. "Still trying to play the hero?" Daniel didn't answer. His eyes remained fixed on Victor, the man who had destroyed his life. Victor slowly walked closer. The sound of his expensive shoes splashing through puddles felt strangely terrifying. Then he looked at me. "Sarah." I felt a chill. He spoke my name as if we were old friends. "You should have stayed out of this." I gripped the flash drive tighter inside my coat pocket. Thankfully, Victor hadn't seen Daniel hand it to me. Not yet. Victor continued smiling. "You know, Daniel always was emotional. He couldn't understand how business really works." Daniel suddenly shouted, "Business? You stole from innocent people!" Victor shrugged. "And they made money too. That's how the world works." Emma looked disgusted. "You're a monster." Victor simply laughed. Then his face became serious. "Enough." He looked at Daniel. "Give me the evidence." Daniel crossed his arms. No. For a moment, everything became silent. Then Victor nodded, as if expecting that answer. And suddenly, one of his men punched Daniel in the stomach. Emma screamed. Daniel fell to his knees. I felt my heart stop. Victor crouched beside him, still smiling. Last chance. Daniel spat blood onto the ground. No. Victor sighed, then stood up. Take him. 2 men grabbed Daniel. Emma ran forward. Leave him alone! Another man blocked her path. I grabbed her arm before she could get hurt. The situation was becoming dangerous, very dangerous. Then something unexpected happened. Daniel looked directly at me, for only a second, but I understood. The flash drive. Protect the flash drive. Whatever happened, that evidence mattered more than anything. Victor's men dragged Daniel toward one of the SUVs. Rain soaked his clothes. Blood ran down his face. Yet somehow, he still looked relieved, because he knew the evidence was safe. Victor opened the SUV door, then paused. He turned back toward me. His eyes narrowed. For a moment, I thought he knew. Thought he somehow knew I had the flash drive. But then his phone rang. Victor answered. Immediately his expression changed. The confidence disappeared. Something was wrong. Very wrong. He listened silently, then shouted, "What do you mean the account is frozen?" My heart skipped a beat. Frozen? Victor stormed away from the SUV, yelling into the phone. His men looked confused. Emma whispered, "What's happening?" I didn't know. Then another phone rang, and another, and another. Several of Victor's men suddenly looked nervous. One of them shouted, "The police are raiding the offices!" Victor's face turned white. For the first time, he looked afraid. Actually afraid. Then I remembered something. The bank. The hidden account. Someone had reported suspicious activity. The authorities were finally moving. Victor screamed into the phone. "Destroy everything! Do it now!" But it was too late. The empire he built was collapsing, right in front of us. And then sirens appeared in the distance. Real sirens. Dozens of them. Blue and red lights flashed through the rain. Victor looked toward the road, then toward Daniel, then toward us. Calculating. Thinking. Looking for a way out. Suddenly, he pointed at me. "She has it!" My blood froze. The flash drive. He knew. Victor's men immediately rushed toward me. Emma stepped in front of me. "Run!" I turned and ran through the warehouse yard, heart pounding, rain blinding my eyes. Footsteps chased me. Closer, closer, closer. I nearly slipped on the wet concrete, but kept running. Because if Victor got that flash drive, everything would be over. Every victim, every stolen dollar, every crime, gone forever. I reached an old warehouse building, pulled open the rusted door and slammed it behind me. The inside was dark, silent. I could barely breathe. Then I heard footsteps outside. searching, getting closer. I clutched the flash drive tightly, praying, hoping, waiting. And then a voice came from the darkness behind me. A man's voice. Calm, unexpected, and familiar. Sarah? I spun around in terror, because standing in the shadows was someone I never expected to see again. Someone everyone believed was dead.